All right, so you're here with us because you want to get right to the heart of what's important as quickly as possible. And today that's the whirlwind of AI and all these emerging technologies that are impacting accounting. And we've got a great perspective on this today from the CEO of which is a top 100 accounting firm.
That's right.
So we're going to be kind of taking a deep dive into all of this with their perspective. And our goal is to really cut through the noise and extract the most important nuggets of wisdom
Yeah.
about how AI is changing accounting and what that means for how accounting firms service their clients, and then also take a little bit of a peek into the future and see, what might be coming next.
Absolutely.
So are you ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay. So one of the things that was really fascinating is the CEO of Wits really emphasized that, this isn't a future prediction. This is like happening now.
Right.
AI is actively reshaping how accounting firms operate.
Yeah. And what's so fascinating is just the speed at which it's moving, right? Like it really does feel like you blink and then suddenly there's a new development in AI and how it can be used in all sorts of industries, but especially accounting.
Absolutely. And so, instead of just talking about the idea of AI, I want to talk about some of the concrete ways that it's actually making a difference right now in the accounting world.
Sure. So think about something that accountants are always, kind of concerned with accuracy, right?
Absolutely.
So you've got these AI algorithms that can sift through massive amounts of financial data and spot errors or inconsistencies that a human could very easily miss, especially, if you're talking about a huge data set. You can think about efficiency too, right? All of those tasks that used to take hours and hours of, manual data entry can now be completely automated. And so that frees up accountants to really focus on, some of those higher level tasks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's interesting because it's not just like faster spreadsheets. We're talking about like a fundamentally different type of work that an accountant can do.
Absolutely. And, there's a lot of discussion about this idea of deeper financial intelligence, right? So you have tools like Basis AI, which aren't just processing numbers. They're actually finding patterns and trends. They're helping accountants to do predictive analysis.
Yeah.
And that gives accountants a much richer understanding of their clients' financial health.
So instead of just looking at like historical data, you can kind of predict where things are going, and that informs like a different type of strategy.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like, we're talking about a shift from being very, very detail oriented in terms of like, making sure that the numbers add up to being more strategic.
Right.
So how does that, does that change what an accountant does all day, or like what are we really talking about here in terms of like the day-to-day work?
Yeah. I think it shifts the focus dramatically, right?
Yeah.
So instead of being bogged down with all of that manual data entry, you're now free to act more as a strategic advisor to your clients.
Okay.
You can really understand their business and build those relationships and offer proactive guidance based on, all of these really incredible AI-powered insights that you're getting.
That's really interesting. And I think, a lot of people, when they think about technology, they think about the technology itself. But, in any business, especially in a professional services business like accounting, you can't forget about the people.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm curious, adopting something like AI, it's not just about plugging in a new software.
No.
There's a whole human side to this as well.
Absolutely. And the CEO was very clear about this. He said that successfully integrating AI, it's as much about people as it is about the technology itself.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice?
Well, it starts with really good communication, being open and honest with employees about, the changes that are happening, why they're happening.
Right.
It also means involving employees in the process, making them feel like they're part of this transition, and then providing really solid, comprehensive training programs.
So you're not just kind of like throwing them in the deep end. You're actually making sure that they're comfortable and they know how to use all these tools.
Exactly. It's about empowering the team, right? Giving them the tools and resources that they need to thrive in this new environment.
So I guess the other side of that is not just the internal team, but also the clients.
Yeah.
So how does all of this technology, how does it actually translate into tangible benefits for the clients themselves?
Well, I think clients are really seeing more tailored and customized solutions, right?
Okay.
Because AI allows firms to analyze their specific situation in much greater detail and offer recommendations that are really customized to them.
Hmm.
And, automated reporting is a huge benefit for clients. They're getting this crucial financial information faster and more accurately than ever before.
Which means they can make decisions faster.
Precisely. And then you've got AI-driven forecasting, which allows accountants to provide more strategic advice to help clients anticipate challenges and really capitalize on opportunities. So it's really about creating a much more insightful and proactive partnership between the accounting firm and the client.
Okay, so now we've talked about how this is actually happening. We've talked about some of the concrete benefits. What about the future? What's on the horizon?
Well, this field is constantly evolving.
Right.
So one of the things to watch is real-time auditing.
Okay.
So imagine having a continuous, up-to-the-minute view of a company's financial status. Advanced data analytics are going to allow for even more sophisticated forecasting capabilities. And then, you can't forget about all of these emerging tech startups that are coming in.
Right.
They're often much more nimble than traditional firms, and they're really pushing the boundaries in terms of efficiency and client value. So they're setting new benchmarks for the industry.
Okay, so if we step back and look at the overall direction of the industry, with AI and all these technologies,
Yeah.
what is like the key takeaway for the accounting industry as a whole?
I think the trend is very clear. We're going to see increasing automation of those routine tasks, a heavy reliance on real-time data for decision-making,
Right.
and the strategic application of technology to provide deeper insights. So firms that really embrace these changes, that invest in their people, that help their clients to leverage all of these advancements,
Yeah.
those are going to be the ones who are really leading the way forward.
So it's interesting because, in the past, I think a lot of people thought of accounting as sort of, like the stereotype of like, the person with a green visor, like hunched over a
Well,
calculator.
Yeah.
But it sounds like really what we're talking about is not just changing how accounting is done, but fundamentally shifting the value that accountants provide.
Absolutely.
So it's much more about strategy and client relationships and obviously powered by technology, but that's really the core of it.
It's a real transformation, and I think it's a really exciting time to be in this field.
Yeah. So to that point, we're almost out of time, but I want to leave our listeners with something to kind of chew on as they, maybe go about their day to day and think about this a little bit more.
Sure.
So with technology evolving at this incredible pace, what are some of those core human skills that you believe are going to be absolutely essential for professionals in these fields that are, traditionally people-focused fields, like accounting?
Yeah.
How can we best blend the power of artificial intelligence with that irreplaceable human expertise?
It's a great question.
Something to consider.
Yeah.
And with that, I just want to thank you for taking this deep dive with us today.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.